everybody, and welcome back to the internet's best reactions. Today we are discussing, going through your best reactions to the Saudi Grand Prix, round 2 of the 2022 F1 season. And oh my goodness me, do we have another season so beautifully shaped and crafted. We didn't know what we were going to get coming into this new season. On paper, it was supposed to be better, but if you've been watching Formula 1 for a long time, you don't trust what you see on paper. You just wait to see what the action is like on track. And wow, did we have a really awesome race at the Saudi Grand Prix. Yeah, you might be thinking I've got a little mask on, like, oh, Leclerc fan actually pretending to be okay, but you have to see the Formula 1 race as a whole, not just the battle for the lead, the battles in the midfield. It was awesome, as were your reactions, so let's dive into them right now. At Dummy Batman 8, surprised to see no incidents in lap 1. Yeah, I know. We did the whole of the Saudi Grand Prix with no red flag, like the colour of my jumper, which is a all aboard Ferrari hype train. I mean, maybe slightly stalled after Max Verstappen winning the race, but I'm still very much on here. And if you want your own hoodie, there is a link to the WTF1 store in the description. But I am still a firm believer. But as for no incidents, yeah, I can't believe it. Obviously, we had lots of chaos in Formula 2, as always, although to be fair, their actual main race didn't have any safety cars whatsoever, which I was very proud of them for. But obviously, there were small safety changes as well for this year, but I don't think it's gone far enough. Mick had a huge crash in qualifying. So glad to see he's okay. But yeah, I'm just glad that we're coming out of Saudi with no one hurt. That's for more than one reason. At Munford 1999, watching the cars porpoising be like. Yet they're still bouncing around. There's still lots of sparks. Some teams obviously still struggling more than others. Mercedes being hindered quite a lot by their problems and not being able to get anywhere near the front with Red Bull and Ferrari. But I do love to see the sparks. Of course, we've had 2 night races pretty much, so the sparks obviously going to look amazing. We move to Australia in a couple of weeks' time. Weird to not have that as round 1, but yeah, they do look good. I'm so in love with these Formula 1 cars. There was no like, oh, you know, getting used to the change. Oh, I don't really like the way they look, you know, when we've seen changes to the Formula 1 cars in recent years. But this year, as soon as I saw the first design, yes, please. At Flusfo, Albon battling Hamilton. Of course, Hamilton having a shocking qualifying and being knocked out in Q1, which was quite frankly redonkulous. If you don't watch our qualifying watch-alongs, you would have seen, well, you wouldn't have seen me and Tommy reacting very extravagantly to that, and also Perez getting pole. Perez, what an unbelievable qualifying. Shame how it fell away from him today. But back to Albon versus Hamilton, of course. They have some previous, after coming together in Brazil, coming together in Austria, dare I go on. But there was no such crashes between the two today, which is good. At Crystal Horner, whenever Carlos gets stuck behind Charles. It's weird to see, isn't it? I know we see elements of Carlos being a little bit sad, a little bit upset that he's off the pace, but I think more so this year because he knows that the car underneath him can challenge for the championship at the moment, at least. We don't know if Ferrari will continue with this pace all through the season, but he knows that this is his opportunity to win races, to win the championship, and unfortunately hasn't been able to get the same handle of the car as Charles, and you can see it. He cannot hide on his face when he is upset and angry. Very similar to how maybe I was 5 minutes after the race after Leclerc losing to Max, but you have to appreciate Formula 1 in 2022. It is unbelievable, and I can get over it. But Carlos, yeah, he takes some time too after getting out of the car before he just needs to just not speak to anyone, and then he can do a calm and composed interview. At Christopher Penn, Hamilton lap 4 in P14. There's no grip in this tyre. Yet, even down out of the points, he is still talking about his tyres. But I just think that's a running meme now. I think a lot of the drivers would talk about how their tyre is doing. But the thing is, Hamilton, being Hamilton, a 7-time champion, they're going to be using all the team radio snippets from him because a lot of people find it interesting. So I can see why it's become a running meme because the F1 just show these particular snippets. I don't think Hamilton probably talks any more or less about his tyres than everyone else. But maybe he does say that they're gone more than others. At Carlos Sainz, tyres are gone. Yep, he did say that, and there is Lewis Hamilton very badly photoshopped onto the Bottas traditions meme. I can work with it. At AS_beef, Ocon checking his mirrors into turn 1. Now, yeah, let's talk about Alonso versus Ocon. Alonso actually looking very, very quick this weekend. Ocon, of course, got the better of him in qualifying. But my days, they just battled on for absolutely ages. And then, of course, Otmar Safnauer, who was with Sky as in terms of being interviewed throughout the weekend, he came over and they were like, yeah, don't worry about it. They'll, have a bit of a tussle now and then they'll all settle down. But they battled so much that they brought in the likes of K-Mag and Bottas into the fight when they didn't really need to. But hey, I'm just going to say thank you because that was brilliant to watch. Ocon moved very late at one point. I think it was one of the earlier moves where he moved to the inside right at the last minute where Alonso tried to go up that way. And that could have easily been such a big crash. I'm sure there is a lot of talk about that behind closed doors at Alpine, but my days, it was so good to watch all the same. At Soft Med Hard F1, Lewis and Daniel fighting each other for 13th. Yep, that was a little bit weird to watch those two, although I say weird, Danny Rick last year still didn't particularly have a great season with McLaren then. But of course, Lando Norris scoring some great points for McLaren, fighting Ocon right to the end. Not sure how he managed that, maybe with the use of the safety cars and getting a bit lucky there because the McLaren didn't seem to have the pace to be fighting for 6th place. But Lewis managed to get through eventually. Danny Rick was just meandering at the back until his car just stopped working. So not a great start for Danny Rick, obviously missing testing and then, maybe just not having the much pace, although it seemed reasonably comparable to Lando at points. But we just want to see Danny Rick with a big old smile on his face, don't we? At Malupa98, letting your teammates pass. Ocon, we don't do that here. Simple as. Ocon wants, you can tell that Esteban is such a nice guy, and he is a great racer. But he wants to get that upper hand on Fernando Alonso, but you're just not going to get it. Like there was one particular moment where Ocon just tried a little look round the outside at turn 2, and Alonso is every single day of the week going to close the door. And I'm so glad they didn't make contact because it was quite close. But I'm also glad that Esteban realised that Fernando is definitely not going to allow him back round the outside at turn 2. It was still such a great battle. More Alpine memes at Will_Jones007. Stop the battle or steal all the airtime. I don't think we saw anything of the top 4 for a good 10 minutes because they just kept on battling lap after lap, and the DRS was very good, to be fair. It was allowing for some great racing. It's weird, like the slipstream doesn't seem to be as powerful, but the DRS, from what I've heard, seems to be a little bit more powerful, but then it kind of just negates itself compared to what we saw last year. But I think it was brilliant, when we look to the Verstappen Leclerc battle. Of course, Leclerc had a slow Ferrari anyway, so maybe it looked a bit bigger in that particular fight, but overall I would say DRS did its job. At Hair Dye Ginger, Ferrari playing the pit stop fake out perfectly. So of course you had Perez in first, Leclerc in second, Verstappen in third and Sainz in fourth. And Leclerc was going to do the undercut. He was going to attack aggressively, go and try and get that undercut, get the fresh tyres and jump Perez in the stops. Perez reacted to that, so did Red Bull. They obviously could have heard the Ferrari team comms, so they brought Perez in. Ferrari stayed out, and then there was a safety car. Latifi just decides to bin it and allows for Leclerc and Verstappen to jump Perez, which was heartbreaking, to be fair. Sergio had deserved the opportunity to fight for the win, and a little bit of unlucky fortune with when he pitted just ruined his race. At Ticey_46, Latifi in the wall again. I mean, he has not had a very good start to 22, and 21 comparing to George Russell wasn't great either, was it? But he just seems to not have a handle of the car. Maybe it's because Alex Albon is putting some more pressure on him. Of course, getting beaten by Russell, who is deemed, a very, very good driver. Fair enough, whatever. You take it on the chin. But Albon, completely brand new to the team, coming in after obviously his really torrid times with Red Bull. He probably wants to beat Alex, and he's pushing too hard and making mistakes all the time. And if this continues, his seat is definitely going to be under question.
Who has won Tweet of the Week?
Right, Tweet of the Week time now. This one made me chuckle. Of course, we're not, there's no bullying here for Latifi or anything like that. This is literally just a little bit of poking fun. And it comes from at C_I_A_85. Latifi, when he has the opportunity to influence a race by crashing. It's showtime. Now, there's no hate, there's nothing negative that's meant by this, just a bit of fun, because of course he did impact the race again. There's lots of love here, there's no hate, but yeah, that did make me laugh a lot. Oh, it's showtime. Yeah, it was. And one more funny meme, at I am Davo, Latifi every race. Oh my God. I just love that gif. Of course, Latifi didn't do that, but it is... I've never seen that gif before, and I've been doing internet's best reactions for years, 5 years. Love that gif, love it. At Hank Bishop 22, Magnussen's neck right now. Of course, after qualifying, Kevin Magnussen said that his neck was all over the place. I think he said it broke or it snapped or something like that, which obviously it didn't. I'm sure there's a little bit of translation going on there. But the fact is, you kind of wonder whether or not he'd be able to perform going into Sunday when his neck was pretty ruined only a day before. But still a great performance from Kevin. More points for Haas, which again, like double point score for Haas over the last 2 races. Can you believe it? I can't. I actually can't. This is unbelievable turnaround from Haas. So let's focus more on the battle for the lead. At Harry Anderson 21, Leclerc forcing Max wide at the restart. Genius. Now, of course, this was at the safety car restart, as you would imagine. And Max doing his usual thing where he gets alongside the leader, starts weaving, trying to get into Charles Leclerc's head. And it's not dirty tactics, but it's, of course, you're trying some mind games to put off the leader. And then Leclerc just went straight at the last corner and just kept going straight until we were running out of track, and then Max Verstappen had to get out of it, and then Leclerc went, which turned out to be a good tactic. But I love how there are these small mind games. There's the DRS chicken, which went on a little bit later on. It is all very much like psychological mind games, but it's all very fair as well. At I Live for Formula One, watching a Haas blow by Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. Can you believe if you saw that tweet last year and it was said to happen this year, would any of you believed it? Anybody, honestly? Like, I predicted Mercedes to be a little bit slower, maybe third fastest, which maybe that's where they are. Would anyone have believed that not Magnussen, because of course he wasn't actually in Haas at the time, but a Haas going past a Mercedes? Oh, we are living in a simulation. We really are. At the real NM, Checo after the race. I hate Nutella. Of course, Latifi, a big fan of Nutella if you've seen his social media profiles. And of course, Checo had his race ruined by the safety car, virtual safety car that came out when Latifi crashed. And yeah, it's I just love how that is a personality trait for Nicholas Latifi, is his love for Nutella. But I can't imagine Checo will be gifting him any Nutella anytime soon. At United Tack, Leclerc, 4th place. Well, actually, no, he was 2nd place. Don't know why he said he was 4th. Ferrari boxed to overtake. Bates Red Bull into a pit stop. Latifi crashed. Leclerc pits under safety car. Leclerc, 1st place. Strategy. Now, I know that is a joke, and Ferrari, they're really bad at strategy usually. They have nailed it this year so far. With the pit stops, with the strategy, with the bluffing, with everything. Ferrari are on it. They've read their 101 strategy rulebook and they are applying it to 2022. Ferrari hype train, get on board. At James B020186, lap 38, all cars be like. Yeah, they all just started to brake at the same time. You had Alonso, you had Ricciardo, and you had Bottas. And the first two just stopped. Well, didn't stop immediately, but they both crawled to a halt at the pit entry, which was not ideal for some of the drivers that needed to pit, because of course the pit entry was then closed. So that meant that Hamilton couldn't take advantage of the VSC, where he would have slotted in probably in P6 with fresh tyres as well. Couldn't do that. But yeah, it just felt like, whoa, hold on. Okay, this whole race is about to be turned on its head. And it was, because then the field got kind of bunched up again, or not completely bunched up because it was only a VSC, but Verstappen got closer to Leclerc somehow. It kind of got to about a second. And then all of a sudden, the Red Bull was absolutely rapid. At Maria F. Morales kind of sums up, I think, what a lot of people were thinking, including myself. Alonso, Ricciardo, Bottas. What is going on? I know. And, sad for Ricciardo especially. I don't like to see him DNF. That whole, when he screamed, I think, in his helmet in Monaco a few years ago. Was it in Renault, maybe, I want to say, potentially? Don't quote me on that. It it scarred me. So I just want to see good things for Danny Rick. I really do. And for Alonso as well. He'd had an amazing race before his car problems kicked in. And so did Bottas, to be fair. All three of them, I wanted them to do well. So as I mentioned after the VSC, Verstappen all over the back of Leclerc, and my heart was going absolutely nuts. At Viking_Wayne84, Max versus Leclerc, here we go again. I thought it was in the bag. It seemed as though Leclerc was able to sort of sit in that 1.6 to 1.7 second buffer to Verstappen for most of the race. But as soon as that VSC hit, Verstappen got close, got DRS, and of course there are 3 DRS zones around this Jeddah circuit, and then it just allowed for him to sit in that slipstream, sit in that with the use of that DRS, and go on the attack at Johan GT95YT, Leclerc versus Verstappen round 2. And yes, it was the blue that was hitting the red this time round, and it all got very crazy, didn't it? The whole thing that we saw last year where Max and Lewis tried to play DRS chicken and Lewis just drove into the back of Max. This year, we've had the same thing where Charles tried to get the use of DRS, Max slammed on the brakes, the both of them locked up their front tyres, then Leclerc just bolted and managed to keep the position that particular lap, and you just thought that it was going to end in tears, but thankfully it didn't. At Jonties_corner, Charles to Max again. It did seem as though Charles had Max's number for most of the times that an overtake was attempted to be made, but then eventually Max decided, no, I'm not going to go anywhere near the Ferrari into the final corner. Leclerc couldn't slow down enough to allow Max back through before the DRS detection, and then it was simple pickings. At K-Town Boost N, Leclerc deciding which tactic to pull on Verstappen into the last corner, but unfortunately for Charles Leclerc and his fans, we ran out of pages in the book, and Max had actually purchased the book and just sent one into turn 1. Game over. At JRun Meta, I'm going to go pass out now. What an F1 season, huh? Captain, it's only the second race of the season. I know! What a great first couple of races we've had, and we've got 21 to go. Who's your money on? Who's going to win the championship? I don't know. I still believe that Mercedes are going to come strong and be right in the hunt by the end of the year, but we are being spoiled. So right at the end of the race, Alex Albon tried to move on Lance Stroll, and that did not work at all, and then his tyre basically was completely delaminated. At Jatoffel, who cared about the yellow flag at the end? Of course, Albon stopped, double wave yellows came out, and I think Charles Leclerc set the fastest lap of the race under yellow flags, and I think the last 2 laps, as of recording right now, are being looked into just as a whole, so not confident that these results are going to stay the same, but let's see. Oh, God, please. Oh, I just know there's going to be a penalty for Leclerc. I mean, why wouldn't it be? If he set the fastest lap, surely that's going to be a pen. Hopefully not.
It's time for Social Media Team Championship.
Social Media Team Championship time now. Some great submissions from the teams. I love the fact that they've really stepped up their game over the last few years, and the battle continues for this year. So let's look into the top 3. In third place, we have Alfa Romeo Orlen. Traditions. Spoiler alert, no spillage this time. They remade the coffee meme, but without the spillage. I love it. Well done, Alfa. You get third place. In second, we have the reigning champions, Haas F1. More points, Kevin Magnussen? Yes, yeah. I mean, they've recreated another meme, not even from F1. They've just made another meme with Kevin Magnussen. He was only drafted in like less than 2 weeks ago. Love it. Social media Formula 1 teams, honestly, stonks. They are absolutely smashing it. And finally, the winners of the Social Media Team Championship for the Saudi Grand Prix I can't remember what word is the correct one, but here we go. It's Mercedes AMG F1. This did make me laugh a lot. And AMG is leading. It's the safety car. The self-burn there is brilliant from Merck, and you fully deserve all 3 points. So well done to you. That's 1 point for Alfa Romeo, 2 points for Haas, and 3 points for Mercedes AMG F1.
And now it's time for Race Rundown with your host, Matthew Gallagher.
Race rundown time now, and I don't have my usual graphic because Formula 1 haven't posted it, so I'm having to read it off a different thing, and that makes it even more difficult for me, so let's do it. The finishers of the Saudi Grand Prix were Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Russell, Ocon. I get a weird feeling in my legs when I know I'm bottling it. It's really weird. Here we go. Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Russell, Ocon, Norris, Gasly, Magnussen, Hamilton. Hell no! Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez. No, Perez didn't finish third as much as I would have loved to see him on the podium because he really did deserve a podium. I'm really sorry, Sergio. Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Russell, Ocon, Norris, Gasly, Magnussen, Hamilton, Zhou, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Albon. That was it. I'm just taking that. I don't care. The non-finishers were Bottas, Alonso. Oh, there's a lot of them. Bottas, Alonso, Ricciardo, Latifi, Tsunoda, Schumacher, Tsunoda, Latifi, Ricciardo, Alonso, Bottas. Right, there we have it. That is the end of the internet's best reactions to the 2022 Saudi Grand Prix. Round 2 is done and dusted. We've got a couple of weeks until the Australian Grand Prix. If you want to get involved next time and potentially win an amazing Fanatec prize, then use the hashtag WTF1 and I will choose the best one that will be, firstly, winning tweet of the week, but secondly, just being featured full stop. So thank you everybody for submitting. As always, you keep this series alive with all of your amazing memes, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for Australia. We've got the podcast coming out in a couple of days, although it's going to be live tomorrow if you're a Team WTF1 member. We've also got loads of reactive content coming your way as well. Lots of love. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.